Hello, everybody, and welcome to MatchNotes. We're going to see how this goes as a podcast format. I'm going to use camera today, even. Hi, this is my cat over here. His name's Claude. He's a cat. So, he doesn't know anything about wrestling. Well, he does. His favorite wrestler is actually Kenny Omega, who we're going to be talking about today because we are doing the match notes of the rest of the world. This is WrestleWatch, your home usually for the biggest news about free agency in the world of professional wrestling. But this week we are doing our match notes series that we've been doing. We did an episode of it a few weeks ago about the best matches in North America, or we retroactively called it as such. It was mostly just AEW matches. But we are this week doing the rest of the world. Now, what is the rest of the world? You might be asking. Well, hopefully this image here might help you a little bit with figuring it out. Of course, it is the image down there. I'm not in the frame anymore. I'm up here now. Hi. Yeah, no, it's everywhere that's not North America. If you're a promotion that's not from North America, you are rest of the world for the purposes of our program here. It just makes it easier, and it gives a little bit more of a possibility of different regions getting in the action of our lists. So, what is Match Notes? Why are we doing this? What's a rating system? Who is where? What's a star? Who knows anymore what a star is? Well, ostensibly, Dave Meltzer's is a 5-star scale. But of course, it's actually a 12-star scale because it goes from -5 to +7 and everything in between. So, what we're going to be doing here is looking at a more absolute scale. Another thing about Dave's scale is that he doesn't usually rate TV matches. If it's like a 3.5, I think, is his limit, he won't rate it for the TV matches. And also, there seems to be like a little bit of a skewing about women's matches, and we're trying to like keep everything as equal, every promotion equal. We don't really give curves or weights to different styles or anything like that. Claude doesn't either. His favorite wrestler is Kenny Omega, actually. So he's going to be happy about today's program that we're going to be doing here. So our rating system, again, is out of 5 stars in absolute scale. We don't really rate for squashes or injuries, just because those matches don't really count, you know? So like Desperado's injury at Wrestle Kingdom doesn't count as a rating for us when we're determining things. 0 is bottom of the barrel. It's the worst ever kind of match. It is a very rare rating, and it should be rare. 0 plus is something that we greatly disliked or actively wanted to stop watching. Something 0 to 1. +1 is then we just disliked it. It just wasn't very good. +2, it was a fine match. Liked it well enough. It wasn't the most amazing thing in the world. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it wasn't bad. 3+ then is good. Actively wanted to rewatch this one. You know, you finish the match and you're like, wow, that was really good. I'd like to go and watch that again, please. 4+ then is a great match. You're wanting to tell other people about this match. You're going to sing its praises on a high hill. And then a 5, of course, then is a match of the year contender kind of match. I would say that it should be an absolute scale, regardless. Oh yeah, here's my Brett shirt. It's, you know, Brett season, of course. So I like to make sure that 5 is still absolute over the years. So it should be rare to give a 5-star match, even though match of the year contender makes it sound like there has to be at least one 5-star match every year. That's not necessarily the case. There are certain years in wrestling where it just wasn't good enough to get a 5-star match. So in our opinion, it wouldn't get us a match rating. And that's the other thing about this, is that this is the WrestleWatch community has been doing the tracking on this. We have already gotten matches rated from 12 different promotions so far this year already in the 2 months that we've been doing it. Well, almost 2 months. Once this week is over, we'll be out of February. So we have a lot of matches that we've been rating, and it's been a great time, honestly, seeing how everybody else looks at matches, reviews matches, thinks about how matches work. We try to be, we have 376 matches so far this year that we have watched as a community between all of us. And yeah, we're trying to make sure that everybody is getting a fair shake of different promotions. So it's not just this week. I would say that one of the things that you sometimes get is Raiders will try to single out either just talk about one promotion, or they'll say the world, but then what they really mean is just like WWE or AEW or something like that, or New Japan only or something like that. Or so we tried to keep an open mind with everything, and yeah. So without much further ado, we're going to start with the rest of the world January 2025 list, and number 5 is going to be a match that, well, Claude left because it's not Kenny Omega yet, I guess. It's Konosuke Takeshita versus Tomohiro Ishii. This match was for the AEW and AEW International title and the New Japan Never Open Weight Championship. It's not an IWGP belt, it's just the New Japan Never Open Weight Championship. So this match here, we did a 4.29 was the average rating that this match got, which is pretty good. You know, it's a great match. Is the measuring stick about that? This was from Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th in the Tokyo Dome. It was kind of the same length as the match the previous night that was Takeshita versus Shingo. But there were a lot of great moves with this match. I really enjoyed watching Takeshita bring out the suplexes with somebody that could take them very well in Ishii. We had a lot of fun sequences with Ishii with the strikes and everything like that. Takeshita was able to kind of break out some of his more acrobatic moves, doing like a top rope Frankensteiner kind of a thing towards the end of the match. Some poison ranas and things like that. So it was a really great match, just around 13 minutes in length. So it was a really good match. Obviously, we thought that it was a great match because it's in our top 5. What do you guys think in the chat? Oh yeah, we have TC in the chat saying I have a nice pink shirt. Thank you. It's prep season. I tried to watch the promotions that WrestleWatch recognizes plus CMLL. Yeah, so our main podcast, our flagship, if you will, if we're allowed to call it that, without Voices of Wrestling getting angry, that is focused on free agency in the world of professional wrestling. We're the only podcast that follows specifically that. If you're not familiar with that podcast, we will be doing an episode tomorrow morning, actually at 11 a.m. Eastern. And the promotions that we recognize there as major jump destinations are WWE, AEW, and Bushiroad, which is New Japan and Stardom. They just are the companies that can usually get free agents and do exclusive contracts. So it's that simple. Doesn't mean that not other promotions are important or interesting, of course. So CMLL is a great example of a promotion that operates on a very different level than those companies about contracts. As does a company like Tokyo Doshi Pro, for example, or All Japan Pro Wrestling, or Progress in the UK, for example. So it doesn't mean that we don't think that they're interesting companies or that they're not doing interesting work. And this podcast is kind of going in that other direction and saying, no, everybody is doing some interesting work. Everybody deserves a little bit of recognition for what they're doing. Talked about this earlier. Takeshita is a wrestler of the year through February. I think that there's a very strong case for that. And this is the number 5 match, of course, and we have next up, number 4 is Shingo versus Takeshita from, this one is from Wrestle Kingdom the night before. This was the, I guess, unification match of the IC and the Never Championship, with Shingo coming in with the Never title and Takeshita with the international title, rather. And yeah, this felt like Ishii's last stand, is another comment from TC. And Takeshita will be at the Arena Mexico next Friday, not tonight, but the following week from now, I believe, is when that match will be. It's really fun to see how the international title gets wrestlers to AEW to go and defend it internationally. You know, so Takeshita's defended it in Japan, and he won't be defending it in Mexico. That's a never open weight match. But MJF defended it in Mexico and at RevPro in the UK. So yeah, they're trying to make sure that it's an international brand, international title. Doing very good job with it, very well with it. And the kinds of talent that they're putting the belt on, like Konosuke Takeshita, really are having excellent high caliber matches. And this was definitely one of those matches. It was around a 13-minute match. It was relatively quick for a Wrestle Kingdom match. But yeah, it was a really great match. I like when Takagi breaks out the Made in Japan, and he's a very good base, I think, as well, for Takeshita to do some more aerial maneuvers with. As you can see, though, in this image, it's actually Shingo doing an aerial maneuver. So we gave this one 4.33 out of 5. That's pretty darn good of a match. What do you guys think about this one? Any thoughts about specifically Takeshita versus Shingo Takagi? This is match number 4 of our top 5 for the rest of the world, the non-North American promotions that we will be looking at tonight. Shingo has some lucha training through Dragon Gate. Yes, he does. So he, and obviously, being a member of LIJ, has done some work with CMLL in the past as well, for that matter. And it really showed. It showed up in this match. I think the world of Shingo, and I hope that maybe he'll get a defense against or a challenge against Goto. When with Goto being the world champion, I think that would be a really fun match to see. So, moving right along, that was the number 4 match. What is going to be number 3? Where do we think in the world this match might be? Is it New Japan? No, it's not. It's actually Tokyo Joshi Pro. It is Miyu Watanabe versus Mizuki for the Princess of Princess Championship. This is from the TJPW 25 show on January 4th of this year. Our voter block gave this a 4.63. I was one of the people that was a little bit not as over the moon about this match. So I have prepared comments, as it were, from our resident Tokyo Joshi Pro expert, who is Chris, who was on the podcast, the last one that we did, for the top AEW / North American matches. Retroactively, the match did come out that it was the same as all of the best North American matches for our group anyway. But yeah, so Chris, here's his prepared statement, and I'm going to read it now for you. Chris says, in a main event scene like Tokyo Joshi Pro's, where straying from the norm of the Big Three was a rare and short-lived occurrence for the past 7 years, the rise of Miyu Watanabe as Princess of Princess Champion marked the true start of a new era for the promotion. And this title match against Mizuki exemplifies everything she has become. Gone is the rookie who, despite her explosive strength, struggled against the more experienced roster members. Now Watanabe is the mountain to overcome, making even former Princess of Princess champions like Mizuki scratch and claw for any advantage that they can against her. Mizuki herself delivers a great underdog performance as she looks to reclaim championship glory. Hard-hitting offense from the champion, wily maneuvers from the challenger, innovative spots, and no shortage of emotion from both makes the main event of Tokyo Joshi Pro's first major show of the year a must-watch. Have you all watched this one in the chat? We will check in on you guys once we start talking about the number 2 match of the year so far. It's the year so far because it's only been 1 month. It's January, so it is a year so far. We're not going to look at the February matches until a week or two into March, just to make sure that everybody on our panel has time to review some of the great challengers for the title of Match of the Month. So, next up, if we don't have any comments about Miyu Watanabe Mizuki, which I thought was a very good match, I really enjoyed it. What's up next? Oh, here we go. Here we go. It is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechizero from New Japan Pro Wrestling's Battle in the Valley show on January 11th. This one got a 4.67 out of 5 from our panel. And actually, I'm going to have, I've prepared us a statement here about this match. When I watched WWF and WCW as a kid, that my age. I'm going to show my age now. I was a kid when those were on the air. Shows that started with cruiserweights, luchadors, and technical wrestling always attracted me more than ones that started with a 30-minute promo. The former was exhilarating and the latter was quite dull. In those days, technical wrestlers rarely broke through to the upper card. Only Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, and maybe Ken Shamrock come to mind. To now live in a world where the 8-time and latest Wrestling Observer newsletter Best Tentacle Wrestler of the Year held the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship while having a series of matches with a technical luchador who was seen as a bit of a hidden gem not too long ago. Well, that's quite the opposite of dull. Being that I attended my favorite of their series, which was at Rev Pro, that was their anniversary show, August 2024, during All In Weekend. Saying that this was my second favorite is essentially saying it's my favorite after discounting the attendance bias. Zack Sabre Jr. and Hechizero cherish building a match story on the foundation of submissions being the preferred win condition and pins as a cop-out. So unsurprisingly, this bout was extremely well crafted with submissions, counters, and a pace that fondly reminded me of my match of the year last year, which perhaps predictably was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. That was my little words about Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechizero from New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle in the Valley. It was just a really fun match to see them counter each other's pinning sequences. It was a really good match. So I really enjoyed this one. I hope you guys did too. What's up next? Oh, honorable mentions. Yeah, let's get honorable mentions out of the way. Because we want to make sure that we're recognizing everything that could have been a match of the month for some people. We have Baba Momo Banana, which is Mio Monono and Yurika Oko versus Raiway Ultima Powers, Dash Chisaka, and Hiroyo Matsumoto, from Sendai Girls. That was from January 5th. Mercedes Monet versus Mina Shirakawa from Wrestle Dynasty. We had the strange pairing of Hiromu Takahashi, I'm messing up. Iwatani and Yuka Sakazaki versus House of Torture, Evil Show, and Sumi Sakai from New Japan Battle in the Valley. We have Suri versus Benny from Seedling. We have another tag match from the Tokyo Joshi Pro Max Heart Tournament. We have two of those actually to round us out here. People on our staff really liked that tournament, the Max Heart Tournament 5. So hope that you all might watch one of these matches. I have yet to watch the Suri match, even though she was my women's wrestler of the year last year. So I'm really looking forward to getting around to watching Suri versus Benny. And I had a lot of fun with the Sumi Sakai retirement match. That was a great time. Mayu Iwatani was a lot of fun in that match, especially. So, what's left? I have to talk about what's number one for the month. And our number one match is, let's see if my cat's still here. Oh, it's his favorite wrestler. It's Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd from Wrestle Dynasty. This one got a 4.75 from our panel. And we have one of our panel judges, as it were, AJ, with some notes on this one. This match was nothing short of a symphony of violence. I admit I was someone who questioned the wisdom of having Gabe Kidd as Kenny Omega's first match back. Don't get me wrong, I love Gabe, but wouldn't have been the first person to come to mind. But I was thoroughly proven wrong here. The match was hard-hitting, violent, and bloody, with Gabe easily keeping pace with his elder, and Kenny showing that those concerned about ring rust had nothing to worry about, even as one man against the might of the Bullet Club War Dogs. More than anything, this match cemented Gabe Kidd as the future of wrestling, and regardless of where his career takes him, pro wrestling is in good hands with folks like Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega leading the charge. This was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun of a match. It really has cemented Gabe Kidd as I think somebody that's near main event level for New Japan. Even though he lost this match ultimately, it was a kind of a coming out party for Gabe Kidd as the sort of defender of New Japan, the captain in New Japan of a new era in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's interesting for me. I really love the character personally of Gabe Kidd. Sometimes I don't connect with his in-ring work as much. I'm just not a chop daddy, I guess. But this was a lot of fun. There were some fantastic spots, such as the high-flying Kenny Omega spot out onto a table with Gabe Kidd out there. There were weapons galore in this match. It was just a lot of fun to watch this one. So that is our number one match for the non-North American promotions in January 2025. And for the record, so far, these are the best matches of the year. This is the combined January list for us here on MatchNotes, presented by WrestleWatch. We have Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd as number one, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hedge Zero as number two, Miyu Watanabe versus Mizuki, number three, Konosuke Takeshita versus Katsuyori Shibata from AEW, and Konosuke Takeshita versus Shingo. I hope that everybody had a great time thinking about great matches that we've seen here so far this year. If you have not yet already subscribed to WrestleWatch, we would love you to do so. Tomorrow morning, as I mentioned, we will be having our regular flagship podcast, which will be us looking at the, I'm just going to switch back to this one. This one's better because we get to look at Kenny Omega. We're going to be looking at the best matches. Excuse me, we're going to be looking at, I'm talking about WrestleWatch. Yes, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, we will be back with WrestleWatch's regular main podcast, where we review what's happening in the world of free agency and pro wrestling. We have a few interesting people to be looking at tomorrow. It will be, I have my notes here, Carmella, Saya Kamitani, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Tam Nakano will be reviewed tomorrow on the WrestleWatch podcast. We will also be reviewing some of the things that happened last year, people that made moves back in January, February of 2024, and grading, giving a little report card review of how their years have gone so far. Their new promotions, we're going to look at Deonna Purrazzo, Nick Nemeth, El Hijo del Vikingo, Andrade, Naomi, and Brian Keith. So, if any of that interests you, be sure to tune in tomorrow for WrestleWatch. If you're not already subscribed to us here on YouTube, please do so and like and subscribe, ring the bell, all those things that popular places tell you to do. Do those things. We have a Substack that we will be updating with our notes about these matches and sending it out as a newsletter. Coming up here shortly, we have a Twitter and a Blue Sky, so please subscribe to those places. Until next time, hope that you have a fantastic weekend.